everybody, I'm Kelly Dix, local realtor in Michigan.
And I'm Mary McCarthy, another real estate agent in Michigan.
Yes, and we're going to talk about a hot topic today, which is multiple offers. It seems to be going on. So we got a couple bullet points we want to talk about today from the seller side, from the buyer side, and what agents can do with each other to kind of help. So first thing we want to talk about is on the seller side. What does a seller need to do? Multiple offers. So, Mary, what do you got? Some suggestions?
First, I think we should talk about showings.
Okay.
And before the offer even comes in. So if you're in a like a lower price range, so under 300,000, let's say, the chances of you having many showings in one day is more likely than if you're in that price range over 300.
Exactly. Because this right now is a seller's market. That's when you mostly get multiple offers.
Yes. And the lower your price, the more showings and offers you're probably going to get, because there's just a lot of pent-up demand for, entry-level housing, and so you get more offers and more showings. But anyway, when you list your house, the possibility of you having 10 showings in one day or more is entirely possible. And so, what that means is you're going to be sanitizing your house every time you turn around. So you might want, if you do have, enough warning that that's going to happen, maybe make arrangements to, leave home for the day, or, go to a neighbor's house or a relative's house just to get out of the way while the showings take place. And then, just clean and disinfect one time instead of 10.
Yeah, and I know that on the buyer side, they tell them a lot of rules about not touching everything or not turning all the lights on, but they're going to do that anyways.
Yes, they're going to touch your cabinetry. Yes. Yeah.
So
they're going to open your closets.
Yes. So everything.
Unless the seller, turns everything on before they leave, opens all the closet doors, and then pray that one of the agents or one of the other buyers doesn't shut them.
Exactly.
So really, it's unrealistic to expect perfection.
Yeah.
And so you're going to be cleaning.
Yeah. And wiping off know what they're touching.
All the knobs. So, yes.
Yeah. So I would clean everything. Now it's different maybe in a vacant home, but if you're living there, something you want to be careful with, I think so.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if it's vacant, then I wouldn't be that concerned about it.
Yeah, just be prepared for a lot of showings.
Right.
And it is better, like you said, I always think you should be away from the house when people are showing. First of all, you don't want to talk to the buyers and jeopardize a deal, but you don't want to be exposed to all, if they have germs, hopefully they're not coming in with germs. We're supposed to not bring people in there with the virus, but you don't want to be exposed to all those people. So
right, exactly.
Yeah. We kind of talked about that, and we talked about too multiple offers. If you're not getting multiple offers in this market as a seller or a lot of showings, what does that mean? Something's not right.
Something's wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. So either your condition's not good, your price is not good, or something's wrong with your house that isn't somebody, writing an offer on it. Because most of the times now, a day or two, you're getting an offer on the house.
Right. So. Right. Exactly. And it could be. It doesn't necessarily have to be the house. It could be the agent's photos. There's a lot of things that go into why one house gets 20 showings in one day and why the house next door only gets 4.
Yeah.
There's a combination of things going on.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times too, restrictions of access, a lot of
absolutely.
Say,
yes.
Only during these times, which is hard if you have children or pets a lot of times, but you want to make it as easy as you can to show the house too.
Right.
Okay.
So then how to choose the best offer when you do get the multiple offers?
Because what we've seen is a lot of people are getting maybe 5, 10 offers, How do you decide? So I think the agent's job, first of all, is to double check to make sure that they really are a pre-approved buyer. You know,
Absolutely. Yes.
call the lender, verify everything, how far they've gotten, with the buyer. That's first of all.
Have they been underwritten?
Yes. And then really, I guess the needs of the seller. What are your needs? I think is that offer meeting your needs? Like, do you have to hurry up and leave? Is your concern price? Is it your time frame? I guess what are your needs as a seller? So,
Right, right.
um,
If
yeah,
you
you
need
just
60 days occupancy, are they willing to give you that?
yeah, it's not always price, but it could be.
Right, right,
Well, you have to be realistic, I think, as a seller too. If somebody's bidding $10,000 over your asking price or 20,000 over asking, and it's not going to price for that, then you don't want to take that offer because there's going to be problems down the road. So don't be wowed by a large offer. I think too is something just keep in mind.
exactly, exactly. The other thing that happens, I think, if that high offer does an inspection, that buyer, they tell their friends and family what they've done, and everybody starts to say, well, that's, the wrong thing to do. Don't do that. And then they go do the inspection and they come back with a laundry list of repairs, or they want you to renegotiate the price. So, and that's just human nature. They won it. They overbid by whatever it was, 5, 10, 20,000, doesn't matter. They start to feel like they overpaid. Sometimes even the lender will say to them, what did you do that for?
Oh, and when I'm on the buyer side too, as an agent, I always say to my client, do you really want to overpay $10,000 for this house, or let's keep looking?
Right.
I mean, unless you really love it, it's like all the factors match to what you really need, and you can do it, then do it. But why would you want to overpay for a house, especially in a high market that you'll probably won't recoup your costs for a long time?
Right. Exactly.
So, okay. Well, I think we kind of
Point.
touched on sellers. Yeah. Do you want to move on to the buyer side?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So we got a couple more tips for buyers, I think.
We do. We have quite a list.
Yeah, it's a little easier. So when you do have a buyer side, multiple offers. So first off, I think if you're a buyer in this market, you have to go right away when the house gets listed for sale, don't you think?
Absolutely. You cannot wait till the weekend. You have to go the day it's listed.
Exactly. And it could be sold in a couple hours, really.
Right.
If the seller gets the price they want, they're not going to mess around with 20 offers.
Right.
Showing the house to 100 people. So I think first off, you got to be flexible and you got to go right away.
Right.
So,
and I think sometimes if you get in there and you make the right offer and they just accept it and they put the house on, in pending, that's great. But typically I think what happens is you're first in the door and you did everything you're supposed to do. And then the agent presents it to the seller and the seller goes, but I have 10 appointments for tomorrow. And so then you get into a situation where, you're waiting 24 hours and you get a half a dozen more offers.
And your offer is the one that gets compared to, because the other agents will say, you have an offer in, what is it? What do I beat?
Right.
So I guess it could be a disadvantage too. It all depends on the listing agent and the seller, I think.
Yeah, and it does. The seller really is running the show, and it's whatever they want to do. They don't have to respond to the offers. They can say, I want to see what these 10 people do before I say if I'm going to take this. And then when you get the 10 offers, there's a lot of work involved in figuring out what the seller's going to net on each one. A lot of phone calls to all the lenders involved in it. And
yeah, and what if all those offers are really close? 10 offers, all the same. How do you decide? Why put yourself in that situation, I think,
Right.
So, and another point too, going on this, what the seller decides, So if you're an agent writing an offer, don't go in low, or you want to give your best offer, because the seller and the agent don't have to do a highest and best. Where a lot of agents think, well, we'll just get our offer in, and then when they call for highest and best, maybe we'll then give our good offer.
Right.
So they
Yeah,
they don't have to do a highest and best.
No, they don't. I think you should put your best foot forward from the beginning.
Yeah.
When it's a super nice house in your price range, if it meets all your criteria, and sometimes because you're at the house and there's people waiting to come in, or you have to wait for them to come out to get in,
Right.
that's an indication you're going to have a multiple offer situation.
Exactly. Yeah.
So anyway, what can the buyer do to make their offer stand out?
Well, my first biggest thing is, it'd be wonderful if you were a cash buyer, because
Yeah.
that is probably the best thing. I mean, you still can't go in lowballing with cash, but if you're a cash buyer and you bid at least the listing price or a little bit higher, I think you're pretty good. So I think being a cash buyer is probably the first thing that I would love as a buyer in a multiple situation offer as a buyer's agent. And your proof of funds, be ready.
Yeah.
And I think you're top of the list if you give a good offer.
Right.
So.
Right. Because there's no appraisal, you don't have to worry about the lender, and you're just going to close in 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah. So
it's a win-win situation.
Yeah. So if you can do that somehow, or even borrow money from somebody to be a cash buyer, I think that would be number one. Be a cash buyer and not negotiate price. You still have to bid a good offer. So that's my first thing. So let me see what else was here on my list.
Well, as the buyer, if you have to have a mortgage, the getting underwritten, pre-approved, just contingent on the appraisal and your inspection, if you're doing it, is going to put you at the front of the line. And especially if you're conventional and have a large down payment.
Exactly.
Because then there's going to be less question about whether or not you're going to get your mortgage.
Right. And being underwritten is where the lender actually reviews a lot of your financial information in detail, so they know exactly what's going on. You just need like the contingencies that you said. So that's good.
Right.
And the listing agent can call the lender too to verify all that. So, and I think it should be in your pre-approval letter that you are fully underwritten, because listing agent will read that letter too. If they forget there's 10 offers, they're going to look at the one that says, yeah, they're fully underwritten when they're comparing them. So
Right.
I think it should be in your letter too.
Absolutely.
So we talked about being conventional. Conventional as opposed to FHA appears to be a better offer a lot of times too. Higher down payment, higher deposit. Those are all good things.
Right. And not that being an FHA or a VA buyer, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just you're like riskier to close than a 20% down conventional is. And so the seller's trying to pick an offer not only that is best for them financially, but if you're all within a certain, say you have 3 offers within $5,000 of each other, it becomes very difficult to pick between those, so you're going to pick so say if you have a VA or an FHA that's higher than the conventional, you may pick the conventional just because it's more likely to close. Mm-hmm. And that's, no fault of that particular buyer. It's just statistics, Yeah. So if you're FHA or VA, it's just a little more difficult to get the seller to come on board.
Yeah, and talking about FHA, if you need concessions too, that is another big negative. If you're
Absolutely.
a buyer that's FHA and you need concessions, that is another negative, because you're not a very strong buyer right now in this market.
Right.
It depends. So I always say too, if you're in that situation, you may want to look at things that are not coming right hot on the market. You may have to look at something that's been
been on the market for a few days.
Yeah.
or
Um,
weeks.
so another thing I've seen too, talking about deposit, a higher deposit makes you look a little better. But I think guaranteeing your deposit might be something you can do too. So that guarantees that if you back out for some reason, even on inspection, the seller's going to get to keep your deposit. So that might be something uh, kind of another strength as a buyer, guaranteeing that you're willing to lose your deposit if you back out for any reason. So that's sometimes maybe another factor that plays in.
Right. I just want to back up to the FHA and VA again, and especially with those, if you're going 0 or 3.5% down, and you offer a higher asking price, those FHA and VA products, they're going to look harder at that because you have less investment, less down payment, less equity in that property than a conventional. And if it doesn't appraise, those two products almost always fall apart at that point.
Yeah. And it's hard because how do you know if you take a conventional and it falls through and you go back to the other buyers, they might be gone already, found something else.
Absolutely.
So it really is a risk, any one of the offers. You just have to weigh your best guess, I think, with all the factual data and take a chance. I mean, whoever knows? I always say buyer could die, then what do you do? So, I mean, it's like you never know until you get to the closing, right? And you sign the papers. Anything can happen. So
Right.
lose their job, anything could happen. So another big one is the acceleration clause. So have you used that in an offer?
Oh yeah. Just a couple weeks ago. And what that is you guarantee, or you make your offer, and then you say you'll pay $1,000 or $2,000 over whatever any higher offer than yours is.
Yeah.
And then usually hand in hand with that, you say the same thing about the appraisal. So if you win the bid because of that acceleration clause, if you don't include that appraisal clause, generally speaking, the seller's agent's going to say, what about if it doesn't appraise?
Right.
So then you have to be prepared to pay over the appraisal as well.
So and I think two key points to that is you have to have proof that you can bring that cash over the appraisal or your higher price, prove that you can be, afford that. And I forgot what else I was going to say. 2 points, but gosh. Oh, well, I'll think of it again. So.
Okay. So where were we? We were talking about the acceleration clause and the appraisal.
Oh, I remember now.
Okay.
So, and then I think you have to put a cap on it. It's kind of important. So that if you
absolutely.
1,000 or 2,000 over the highest bid, and then you kind of put a max, like up to this max amount, because then you could be ridiculously.
Absolutely. Right. I forgot that little tidbit.
Yeah, and I did too for a minute there. So.
All right.
So many things that we can do. So, and let's see what else was on here that was kind of, you talked about occupancy. So I think that's a big one too. So you just had a deal where they happened.
Right. They, the buyer offered what I considered to be a lot of money over the asking price. And then she guaranteed the appraisal $1,000 over whatever it appraised at. And the listing agent did not put anything in the listing about occupancy. So we made up our own. We said 30 days, which is pretty standard. Mm-hmm. And equal, their occupancy fee would be equal to her mortgage. Well, he came back to us and said, we have 2 people tied, and so we would like reduced or free occupancy for 60 days. And she reduced it. She would not give it for free because she had to make the house payment after closing.
Yeah, so really what you're saying is you're owning the house as a buyer and you're letting the seller stay 30, 60 days for free, rent free, pretty much
Right.
is what the occupancy means.
Right.
So that's what the seller wanted, to stay in the buyer's new house free for a month to 2 months.
Right, right. And, perhaps they would have gotten out quicker, but, there's no way to predict that. And she was very open to them staying as long as they needed, but she wanted them to make her house payment, or at least a portion of it.
Right.
And she lost the house over it. So,
Yeah, and a buyer that would be desperate for that house would be willing to do that. But that
somebody did it. Yeah.
Might cause problems later. 2 months, you're paying 2 house payments, like you're saying.
Right. What if they have to stay for 3 months? Now you're stuck. It's, I don't know.
I guess it could be the other side too. The lady maybe would only need 30 days, and who knows?
That's true too.
But that's part of negotiations, right?
Yep. Yep.
So.
Yep. And so I think we have here pay the seller's closing costs. That's another, thing you can do instead of perhaps writing more over the
and that
purchase
wouldn't
price.
be so much. Like they have, what do they have? The title insurance cost,
Transfer tax.
Yeah, so there's not a lot. It might be a little cheaper for you,
but you could limit that as well. You could say, I'll contribute $1,000 towards your closing costs.
Yes. In addition to the acceleration clause, might be that extra little push sometimes.
Right.
So that's something to think about.
Right. And then the other thing that I just wanted to mention was that, when buyers get involved in these multiple offer situations, and it's like being in an auction, or I call it a bidding war. Your friends and family will tell you not to do it. And if you really want the house, you have to ignore them, because if you don't do it, you won't get it.
Yeah, and I always say that. I mean, I understand their concern, but they're not
Absolutely.
with us every day when we're going to look at 10 houses and like, oh my gosh, this is really a good deal and we want to bid over. I mean, they're not with us to seeing what's out there and what we're looking at.
Right.
And knowing that, this is worth bidding over. So I get it, so it's kind of hard. They have to trust us. They don't know us sometimes, buyers, but.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
We have the experience. We've been through multiple offers before. We kind of know what we're doing. So, and like you said, ultimately it's up to the seller. We give our advice, and it's up to the buyer. What do they want to do?
Right, right.
So,
Yep.
But another thing I like to do, which I know you're kind of leery on, a lot of agents are leery on too, a lot of brokers, is that letter. Letter from the buyer. And I know it's a touchy subject, but you know what, if you do the letter just explaining the things you like about the house, we have to watch fair housing laws, but if you explain the good things you like about the house, maybe the updates that are done and things like that, maybe the location, things like that, that might give you a little edge. Now, I know a lot of listing agents are forbidden kind of from their broker to hand it over to a seller. But you know what, if it's something simple and you do that letter, it might be another extra push too. I've been on both sides of it before when the seller got it and I gave it to my client. I let them decide. I said, we can't discriminate, but this person really likes your house. They wanted me to give you a letter. And I've been on the buyer side too, and I've won and lost both with that letter. So sometimes it just depends on price. They're not going to say, oh, you really like my house, but this person's giving me $5,000 more. I'm taking this person. They don't care about the letter. Yeah. But it's just another tactic to maybe put in your arsenal that might help, I think.
Right.
And I guess, how do you feel about that letter? I know.
I'm not a fan.
Yeah. So, but you never know.
Yeah.
I think just having one more thing, it might be back to push.
If the buyer says to me, I want to submit a letter, I let them. I don't tell them no. I say go ahead, but I just think it's not a good idea.
I guess. So
Although,
that's
you know,
different.
back in the old days when we used to come on show houses and the sellers would let us in, we didn't, well, this is really going back in years, there were no lock boxes. The seller had to let you in or you had to pick up a key, you know. So a lot of times the sellers would see the buyer and they would know when you brought the offer who that buyer was, and they would say, those kids reminded me of us, I want them to have it. And they would get it even if their offer was lower.
Yeah.
It was weird, but it
Yeah.
happened all the time back in the old days.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to digress like that.
That's okay. So let me just look through what else did we miss anything on here?
Oh, the agent to agent, do the appraiser's job.
Yeah, that's a big thing too. Because
That's huge.
As a listing agent, I give an appraiser package to all the appraisers. If they want them or not, I've never had one turn one down, you know.
Right, yes. And a lot of times, especially if I know the comps, because a lot of times you do, and you can leave a pack of comps for the appraiser and say, you know, I was in this house, this is what it's sold for, this is what was wrong with it, this is why this one's worth more or less, you know, whatever. And the more information that you can give them about the interior or whatever is a contributing factor in that price, the better they are able to, you know, justify the price.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think too, I've listened to a lot of appraisers talk, and what they say is, I can find comps of what's selling right now. Send me the comps of what you used to list your price. What
Yes.
comp did you get to your listing price?
Absolutely.
Send me those comps that you used.
Yep.
So, I mean, you don't have to give them 20 comps. Just give them 3 comps or whatever. Especially if it's hard to comp, I think explain why you got to that price.
Right.
You know, and another thing with multiple offers too, I think it's important. I don't know if you've ever done this. I haven't yet, but provide the other offers to the appraiser.
To the appraiser.
Show. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just show that, hey, we got, you know, 5 other offers and that's why this one's over asking. Or show a list of how many showings you've had on the house in 3 days, 100 showings, you know what I mean?
Right.
You know, those kind of things might add to the appraiser's
Absolutely.
report, I think.
Absolutely.
You know, and I always give a copy of my BSNA, you know, the public records report. Any updates to your house, I think that's always good to justify a price, you know, list of upgrades, you know, anything you could do to help them.
Right.
Is good.
Help them understand the situation.
Right. And they probably see it. If they're doing a lot of appraisals, they're seeing we're in a multiple offer situation.
Yeah.
You know, but, you know, on the other hand, they're working for the seller. They're working for the buyer's bank. So they want to make sure the buyer's getting a good value on the house. So they're not going to sway anything, but, you know, they want to understand what's going on with that house and that offer.
Yeah. And the bank actually is their client.
Right.
You know, so they want to make sure that the bank is making the right decision.
Exactly. You know, and not loaning money to a buyer that's not worth the house. So,
Right. They don't want to get it back.
Yeah. And I think another thing too is creating that relationship with the agent. So another thing you could do as an agent, call that listing agent and see exactly what the seller's looking for. And if your buyer can do that, like you're in your situation, the seller was looking for occupancy and your buyer could do that. So as long as you know that information, you could gear your offer towards that. So I think just communication, relationship with the other agent, you know, you, like they say, bees go to honey. So if you're nicer to that agent, find out what's going on, you know, you might have a better chance.
Yes.
So, but I don't think we've missed anything else. Let's see. Maybe ask what other offers are in. So you could ask the listing agent.
Sometimes they might always will tell you.
They might not tell you, or they might not have time. If they have 10 offers in, they haven't looked at them all yet. Or maybe their seller doesn't want them to tell you what's going on.
Right.
So usually you'll get an answer back that says, just give me your best offer. We're picking one at 5 o'clock, you know.
Right, right.
So I think we kind of covered what we wanted to talk about, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So, so anyways, this is our quick video. So I think if you guys are watching it this long already, we haven't been too boring. So, but I guess if you like it and watch, we're going to try and do more of these. And
And if you have any suggestions, let us know.
Yeah, what kind of topics? So once
What do you think
again,
here?
I'm Kelly Dix. I don't know, did we even say our names in the beginning?
I don't know.
Remember. I'm Kelly Dix and Mary McCarthy. So I guess we'll sign off, right? Anything else?
Yeah. That's it. Like our video.
Yep, and good luck writing your offers because it's a busy
Yeah.
market still. It'll probably be around for a while. So thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.